So first and foremost, as we jump back in for the second act, let me just go ahead and say everyone gets a quick reward of inspiration. That's your generic survival. Now, keep in mind, this is moments after last campaign's end. Oh yeah, everybody gets it. That was just Rosariel showing up. I've got some music going. It might be taking a minute to stream in. In my rules, you can only have one at a time, so you can swap it for the one that you have or keep it. Oh, 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 you're right too. That was the that was my. This is the actual big campaign blessing for winning. Perfect. Because it was a big one from the end of last game, so that was my reason of everybody gets it. And the important reason I gave it out this time was I'm pretty sure we've had two players looking on like I had that and I give it up, and then there's also Courtney who's like, "Ooh, Benamy's gonna kick more ass." So it's been spread out, and you earned it though. You all did very well in that encounter yesterday, last week. Though I will say, for those who were paying attention to it, that I just completely forgot my train of thought. Damn it. Oh, I need to drink more of this coffee that's in my hand. I looked at the map and I remembered something else, and then I forgot what I was saying. That's a great start for me for the day. Oof. Alex was like rubbing his chin. If what John's saying is true about all this weird timey-wimey bull crap, he might have a different face now. Oh. So there were some questions poised. Last week, I said earlier, if I was truly sticking to it, I would have cut the game when you went through the portal. But I didn't want to cause any more stress. I want you to know, hey, you got at least that much of a win. It would have been fun too. And I'm just mentioning that because I think Courtney missed that when I said it. So what we are going to do, after you escape that first layer of Avernus, as a recap, while you were fighting against the Obsidian Nightmare, and I remember what I was trying to remember earlier, which is why I'm doing the recap. While you were fighting against that Obsidian Nightmare, which seems to be a shadow of your friend, he managed to not only strike Zariel down, but summon a massive army, sent it after you, and you all managed to stay half a step ahead and found escape to a completely new realm, Cania, the 8th circle of hell. It was an epic thrust and a bit of a gutsy move by Bellamy, who said, "No, fly the ship straight through," as they rammed through the portal. The results of which, less than appealing, as your ship is now severely damaged and lying in the snow. This is a nice little splash page. Some of you might be able to guess what this is, but spoilers. We'll get to that some other time. Let's go ahead and switch you over. Now, if I recall, Jillian, your character had the highest con save last game. Oh, I accidentally opened quick settings. Oh yeah, yep. I just clicked the button at the same time and was like, oops, hold on, confused myself. Oh. Yeah, you gotta kind of hack it in. And the thing I was trying to remember, 2 points probably come to mind now after you've all landed and are waking up. And this is mostly meta knowledge, and I mean, probably obvious at this point, but first off, well, Mad Maggie's prediction came true. You found that moment of retreat, hey, John? She did give you warning, and it looks like she really was saying, It only gets worse from here, so this was just the beginning. On top of that, Ian, or Isaac. Why did I say Ian? Jeez. Oh, cool. Now I know. Isaac, that one shot that you got, seeing Rhea falling at the feet of a darkened shadow monster, well, that vision came true too. DM's 2 for 0, and a little bit later, if you get to it, John's going to freak out at one of my little releases, but that'll happen another time. He loves his plot and stories. You presently find yourselves waking up. Oh, because you love the plot stuff and the heavy stuff, man. All that theorizing you did last game. Oh, it's great. I hear that and I'm like, I love it. I love making people think. I'm not telling you if you're on the right path or not. I can't do that. That's no fun. It's like reading a book and it tells you the answer halfway through. Like you're flipping through and you're like 3/4 of the way through a Harry Potter book and it's like, dude's Voldemort, and you'd be like, what? But I digress. Flux got the highest on the con saves, and for the life of me, I can't remember them. Does anybody actually remember? I think I only remember the extremes. I think Jillian, you got first place, and I think Kieran, your wizard, had last, but I'm not sure on that. Oh god. Oh, and I'm going to do something in D&D normally I don't do. You're granted your level up, but not a health refresh, or a refresh of your magic points, or any time to prep your new stuff. You'll need a long rest for the refresh. And I realize your characters are already in there with it, but just keep in mind, essentially, as of right now, until you long rest, you don't have 9th level spells. Okay? And all the players curse at the same time because they're like, it's game-breaking powers! And I'm like, you went through a portal 2 minutes ago. Jillian's just standing there holding her swords like, I'm ready to kill anyway. I am curious, but I haven't looked. I like to keep that one error of mystery from myself so I don't know. Mind you, if a player just says it out loud, I'm like, oh, awesome, because that's the reveal to me too. But when you drop it in a fight and I'm like, how do I respond to this? You can plan. Oh, I was just going to say, if I know what's happening, I can generally plan for anything, so it's better not to know. Uh-oh. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's Wildemon shit. Hold on. Just 1 second here. Did you get your second? Yeah. Yeah. You can see this in character too. Flux is sitting there looking at her swords as Alec is suddenly warping reality with his touch, and so is the other wizard, and she goes, I didn't get much. He looks over, he goes, I saw you training. You've never moved so gosh darn fast. How did you do that? She's like, oh, I got a second action surge. You got a what? I believe, however, you can only use one action surge per turn. I think. Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks. That's the important rule to that. But I mean, oh yeah, that's great. Let's give Jillian 4 turns in 2. Whatever. She literally becomes a cheese grater. No offense, Jillian, but you slaughter. You know, right? Oh, have Yes, I have julienned my fingers. Yep, yep. Is it a short rest restores that though? Yeah. That's kind of the DM pointing out. That's scary. That's that high level stuff. So Kieran, in response to that, from what I can see, damage, yes, effect would be negligible then, wouldn't it? But the damage is still there, effective regardless of anything else. Uh, yeah, but the threat that that has on an enemy. You walk up to someone leading a kingdom and say, "I'll mark you down for a month left of life," and wowza, yeah, that's one of those spells you have it for a specific scenario and you've prepped for it, and when you drop it, the game shakes. But yeah, yeah, kind of because he robs them of the other however many days they had left. Friggin' time ravage. That's dirty. Love it though. Yep, yep. And you've seen some pretty heavy hits at your levels, but so then, let us jump into the game. What I'm going to need are con saves from the other three party members. Yep, because I don't, except for Jillian, except for Kieran, because we know they were first and last. Because I'll also, as always, trust the players if you can remember what sort of order you're in. Because we Jillian, um, didn't Bellamy do pretty good if I recall? I think everyone did really bad except, mind you, Jillian. Um, all right, so it's gonna go Jillian, then. Or wait, hold on. Let me switch these character names. It's gonna go Flux, then it's going to go Bellamy, then it's going to go Nimbar, then, or I'm gonna go, yeah, Nimbar, then Alec, and then finally Isaac. It doesn't. He doesn't actually have a token. I don't think. Yeah, it was just a wizard I grabbed. Yep. No picture. Last time it filled one in automatically for me, and I was like, I'm lazy, so I'm not changing that. And this time when I pulled it up, it didn't, and I'm like, probably settings from the old game that aren't in there anymore. I had. Oh, that's from my own files. I just didn't change it around. My bad. I gotta update the token list. That's a quick one. Actually, I have it somewhere. The nice thing is, if you pop this page, I linked token stamp. You'll notice that you can actually make a token with this. The nice thing is, if you click the border in the top left, my golden ring thingy that I use is one of the border options. So you switch to that, paste it in, get your character. If you ever wanted to change it and be like, hey Alan, use this instead, and this for my portrait, no problem. Tokens? Oh, it's in the chat. It's just rolladvantage.com/token stamp. I've been using it for years. And when you're in there, did I direct message that to Tin? I did. Sorry, Kieran. One sec. I just I looked over. It's like, oh, poop. Yep. Everyone used token stamp. It's awesome, but they added in because there's custom borders right beside where it says border tint. There's a little white circle. If you click that, the golden circle that we use for this is an option. So, and then you just drag and drop a picture, resize it, etc. This is what I've been using for years. I usually end up drawing one line. I draw one line. I'm like, there, 2D character. I'm so happy people put their pictures, names on stuff now. It's just like, I steal this, but it came from this person. I liked yours. I do like the when I saw yours. I got a kick when I was searching around and saw that other one, and Sandy's like, huh? And I was like, yeah, that looks like a little bit like young Flux in training. It's become, I've noticed, in about the last year. I don't know what it is, but the last year, blue female dragonborn fighters are popping up everywhere. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. Thanks, John. I'll pop that one in. Give me 1 second here. Well, you give me a few minutes. I'll get that popped in for next game. Or lunch break or something. If I start now. Because I'm going to go ahead and throw up the order here. So let's jump into the game then. As Flummonoxus slowly wakes up. You've got a wicked headache. Feel a little sick. A little woozy. You know, all that good stuff. You also note it's snowing. Heavily. The sky, you can't see too well enough from where you presently are. Very dark. Same as Avernus, where it seems to always be dusk or dawn, depending on if you're optimistic or pessimistic, as they'd say. But this is where you find yourself at the moment. As you look around, you see your friends slowly starting to come to as well, with Bellamy next, but we'll get to that in a second. Your ship lies heaped, sadly. Presently on its side, halfway buried in the middle of the snow, very damaged, quite injured from the very harsh battle it had. And I'm just going to, before I forget, toss up a roll for Jade. He's a 17. So, he'll be waking up at the same time Nimbar does, which works perfect, because, unfortunately, as mentioned, we will be short of Jade for a little while, but I was speaking with Dad, and we've got a good little workaround for his character to be there but not there, so we don't have to worry about running him, you know. But we'll get to that. As Flux wakes up and you are greeted with the cold. As you squint towards the horizon, taking in your surroundings, you see what appears to be gigantic mountains in the distance, but it's very hard to tell. Blizzards tear through the area. You find it a wonder, a small wonder maybe, that where you presently stand is but a snowstorm. But it's cold. It is exceptionally cold. It is negative 50 degrees Celsius where you presently find yourself standing. For the rest of the party, taking this info. Welcome to Cania, the 8th layer of hell. Sounds like Canada, as I joked earlier, because Canada, snow everywhere. It's gonna stink. This also means you are under some exceptionally poor conditions. Extreme cold. You can see this in the Dungeon Master's Guide as well. If you have immunity or resistance to cold damage, that's going to help. But this is worse than the normal cold. Negative 50 is as good as it gets. Temperatures can plummet even further. Exposed flesh can freeze. And you're going to be making a lot of con saves in the near future. Before right now, and I'm sure these are thoughts that might be going through the well-versed in combat Flux's mind, who also has survival as a trained skill. As you know, the snow is one of the most deadly of enemies. But to be trapped in an eternal blizzard? If your character was ever posted in 10 towns, it was never this bad. And what's that, Kieran? It makes note. Yeah, they choose Fahrenheit. I use Celsius, which is a little bit. I'd take -50 Fahrenheit. Yeah. But that's the thing. We're using Celsius here as bare minimums, and I actually did that from reading into it for what people say for Kenya. And they say a base of -50 and up. It's similar. Rime of the Frost Maiden takes some cues here and there from it. But no, page 110 of the Dungeon Master Guide. Oh yeah, they throw one down right at the start. Oh yeah. It is a cold, shitty place, the far north. But in Rime of the Frost Maiden, you're not entirely beset by blizzards. I mean, you'll still see fun scenes like this one from Rime of the Frost Maiden, where people are fishing and having a good time. Out here, you're the fish. A whole bunch of crap. So, Flux, as it was, you're the first to wake up. As your character was looking towards the darkened horizon, you find your eyes squinting as you notice what almost looks to be a comet in the sky. Ah, damn it. I was doing a whistle, but my mic cut it out because it counted as noise. I was doing the poof, except long and drawn out, as you see it flying overhead and crashing maybe 150 meters from your location. Give me a perception check as it flies. A 26 nat 20. So the first non-self-saving roll, just, okay, time to play D&D. And I'm going to delete that picture because, honestly, there's no fun to be had. You squint and strain against the cold and bitter winds, but thankfully there's no blizzard, as conditions can be greatly restricted on your perception in blizzard conditions. But you see the oddest thing. It looks like a barrel. A barrel with a shield tied on top of it, flying through the air, with a golden glint. You can't be certain. You think you recognize that shield as it sledgehammers into the snow. Just for the record on that one, a 20 was a pass. Yep, sorry I cut you off. But I can confirm. Oh yeah, no, that was definitely a standard cough and not an "excuse me, DM" cough. I know I've learned the distance. But in short for that one, as it soars, because you passed, you can tell that it's a barrel flying through the air. And because you rocked it on that 25, you're thinking, yeah, that looks like Gargauth's shield. Yeah, that's him. And then boom, lands in the distance with a bit of a kabloom. And as you are looking around, because I'm sort of doing this as a responsitory action for each person as they go. As you're like, oh, I should check on my friends, make sure everyone's okay. Bellamy's head pops up in the snow. Just boof right up out of the snow like shit. That's and it's as you're getting up and walking over to each other, you'd notice closer to the ship, as mentioned last game, what appears to be an elven woman. Her lithe form draped in what looks like the finest of cloth, but worn, torn, and damaged, though white as it was. She's about 3/4 of the way frozen in ice, however, a solid chunk, resting just slightly above the collarbone now at this point, with the remainder of her still being slowly frozen over. A large gash running from shoulder to waist, and to either side of her where her hands would have been, you can see in the snow, Rhea's Vorpal sword, or whatever it was, because as you now know, it was something more. And on the other side, the broken sword of Zariel. And you can see the ice is slowly increasing as it covers more of the body. And then you hear, "You're gonna need more of a torch down here." Both of you, out loud, you can hear that. This... I don't know about that. Oh, wait, hang on. My bad. And you notice then a glinting of light at the edge of the frozen crystal that shimmers as what appears to be an imp with very blue skin seems to materialize as the invisibility that it was using turns off. And it gives you a wave. "Oh, hey, Fluminoxes, how you been? I see you got a new friend over there. They looks interesting. Hello." Well, he gives a nod. "It really is cold. Not sure I can help you there, but thank you for the snack. I'm gonna save this for later," and keeps freezing. Oh, I almost forgot one important character. How could we have forgotten? She's got a 14. Good. That puts her after Nimbar and after Alec. I'll say Alec, you knew you were a 12, but Lulu comes in after you because we kind of slipped and forgot about the little poof of a fluff. That seems to be the... He's freezing the elf lady. He pauses and holds his hands up. "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I gotta put her in casing now while she's still alive, but she won't be tasty later." He looks at the elven lady, then looks back at you, looks at the elven lady, looks at you, scratching the back of his head. "Apparently not." And it would be at that moment, Nimbar, your head would be poking up from the snow. You managed to dig yourself. You are next in line, right? I didn't just jump. Yes. Your head pokes up from the snow as you basically dig yourself free, and at the exact same moment, right beside you, you see pops up Jade. He has an arm around you as he nods. "The snow is deep, my friend. You will have a hard time finding your... No!" And he throws you. He throws you like a football. Fortunately, you land in a nice pile right beside Flux and Bellamy and the imp. Jade, meanwhile, is running, hoofing it towards the ship. It's like, "No, my baby! What happened to you?" Jade's going to inspect the ship for damage, because as he's running by, you also notice, maybe Flux, because she's, the combatant one in the group. As he's running by, you see he gives a quick eye towards the remaining party members, checking "Oh yeah, okay, they're alive. Oh, they're good. Yeah, they're good." He even goes so far as to put a hand on Isaac's shoulder as he moves. Isaac gives the shuffle of as he's starting to wake up. Jade's like, "He's fine. I'm going. The ship," as he runs to the ship to inspect for damages. Nimbar, as you wake up. You see the little imp's eyes go wide. "Zariel!" He's looking left and right. Where? Holds up like a salute, Zariel. Mm-hmm. And he's just looking left and right, just trying to spot the archfiend he believes he is looking for. The Queen of Avernus. That's the Zariel he's looking for. You spooked the poor little guy so bad. You ever try holding on to a scared cat? Flex is pulling it off no problem, because, the scales and all that, the imp, not even effective, but that's what it kind of looks like. Oh, it's whoever wants to, because Nimbar just woke up, so. And okay, and what was that, Courtney? Not at all. Completely different body and form. I mean, the same pointed sort of ears, but the cloth over the eyes is gone, and she appears mostly mortal. It is in the same spot, yes, the grievous slice, and it reeks with that same blackened shadow. However, you would notice, and coffee went wrong way. However, you will notice that same blackened shadow effect, frozen inside the ice, but somewhat active and tearing at the flesh on the outside. So I think I said Lulu pops in after Alec. So let's move on to Alec. As Nimbar is scraping and digging, goes, I found him! As he grabs a foot and pulls up. Alec's muttering. And Alec, poor sad Alec, as he's starting to wake up, you see what almost seems to be a vision in your head of a darkened obsidian monster standing at the base of those pillars, arms crossed, and a wicked, terrifying version of Flummonoxus in front of him, and a few of your allies as well in the same sort of regard. And he gives a wave of one hand before he speaks to them. Oh, shoot, my keys aren't working. I have to do this manually.
It is all right. I did in fact tell you to scrub them from the face of Avernus, and technically that is what you have done, isn't it?
And you see the group of them laughing as you're squinting as your character can now see the world around you. But more terrifyingly, you see this vision isn't really a vision, because that obsidian monster, the shadow of your friend, turns and looks you dead in the eyes, a big smile. Oh, it seems he woke up. Wonderful, as he starts to walk forward and leans down and crouches. It's then you realize something far worse has happened here. You see a version of yourself, an Alec, walking up. He's wearing fine robes, in fact, buttoned well, and even has a monocle. And he gives a nod as he leans over. Oi, Gov, we gotta get her over going. Can't find the owl, though. He's still flying. Yeah, that's right, anti-Alec, British accent. Had to go there. Had to do it. Had to do it. Oh, no. Oh, keep in mind, however, only Alec can see this right now. Because there's a simple reason for it, as you realize why they mentioned the owl. Oh yeah, I know, that is a pretty wicked joke. I gotta admit, because I found out, I planned this a while ago and you said last week his dad had the British accent, and I was like, oh no, I'm still doing it. It's like, oh no, anyway. That mean? However, you notice as his hands suddenly reach out and grab onto what appear to be the edges of a translucent cube. And you see Komishag's hands touching the inside of said cube as his voice trails out, no man, just let me go, man, just don't do it, man. And he smiles and says, shh.
Be silent, poor little imp. The adults are talking. So tell me, Alec.
He muses as hands grab the cube and begin to crush and shrink it.
How are you? Oh, right, that's right.
He says as he actually cuts you off mid-sentence.
I forgot this is a one-way channel. Do you know it took me 5 Nimbars to pull this off?
As he slowly lifts your little imp up into the air, your imp's eyes darting around as you realize he's connected you to your familiar across the planes of existence somehow. You also hear in the background the screeching of an owl that spins through as it's being chased by what looks like a number of yours with bows. Five Nimbars. Oh, not Nimbar, sorry. Uh, Apologies, Nimbar's previous character. Five Nilcrates. I don't know which. I'm gonna say Nilcrates for the evil ones. You know, alternate versions. Five Nilcrates it took him to do whatever he's done here as he's holding your familiar in a cage. Oh god. That'd be bad. And I'm just gonna give a second for Alec to respond to that. Because as that's happening, Lulu wakes up, pops through the snow. And you see she's dragging Isaac with her the rest of the way, who's a little bit blue and cold. She's like, oh my word, that was not a very pleasant flight. I'm going to have to sue the flight attendant and the captain and the flight team. I didn't get any peanuts. Alex is also awake now at this point. He gives a slow chuckle as he starts to suddenly squeeze the box your imp finds himself in.
I'm gonna set a little question for you to sit on for a minute while I have some fun.
He seems to muse as you see tendrils of electricity crackling inside the box, and you can feel your imp suddenly besieged by volumes of pain.
What happens to a familiar when you kill it? I don't mean when you snuff out its partially portalized existence is summoned by you casters into a single point.
And suddenly he starts to squeeze the box as it begins to crush in on your imp, screaming and crying out as it does.
No, I mean what happens when you actually, straight out, kill one. Like I said, this cost me. This affects 5 spellcasters, and I still have a few more.
And he continues to squeeze the little box your familiars in as he looks over his shoulder towards the others.
Find the owl. We have one more.
Your familiar, meanwhile, screams out and cries as the box seems to crush around him, and he looks back towards you.
Don't forget, this is my plane of existence now. I am going to conquer all of Avernus, twist it to my image, tear my armies across it, and then I'm going to return. I'm going to wipe out the entirety of our world. Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter, all of it will bow and cry before me, and we will finally know peace through tyranny.
And then he crushes the box and the signal cuts out to your familiar. As if he was unsummoned, yep. Nimbar. While he starts summoning his familiar, because you just see him, he looks distant, he starts summoning his familiar. You remember you left yours behind too. How long is it going to take Alec to resummon his familiar? Are you doing it as a full long term? I think it's like 10 minutes. Oh. Right, good. I just wanted to check on that. As a glow of light fills the area and you summon forth your familiar. We'll get to that in a second. Jillian, Bellamy, and Lulu with Isaac. Because Lulu has pulled Isaac free of the snow, but I'm sure that last story was a bit more captivating for a brief second there. But now that Isaac's waking up and your eyes are squinting and all that, Isaac, you poor, poor soul, give me a wisdom save. Lag. 25. With the 25, you are successful. You notice something very strange as you're waking up. You can feel something trying to reestablish a connection with you. Roll an Arcana check for your knowledge. And sadly, John, no, you can't roll this one. This is all going on inside his head. It don't matter. It don't matter how tired you are. You're like, I'm wizard. I know everything. The pain and the twinge between your eyes you're feeling as this thing's trying to reconnect with you, you come to a very quick realization. And since your rolls were incredibly high despite the odds being against you, you could resist this connection permanently. But you know this connection is what grants you visions of whatever you've been seeing. So your character has the option to either continue with that cursed vision or walk away from it. And the process is less than pleasant, very violent and painful. Con save! Oof. Alright, you take 9 points of psychic damage, and you start bleeding from the nose, and you see the bloodshot eyes as the pain overtakes you. Because as your eyes drift across the field and you see the elven lady encased in ice, and the connection is reestablished, you get a singular moment seared from that instance. You can see a warrior in mythically powerful armor, standing waist deep in what appears to be a lake. In his arms he holds her lifeless form, and on his face you've never seen such a look of rage. But that's it. Just as quick as they came, the pain's gone, and you know the connection's been reestablished. This also provides your character with one other rather interesting piece of information, where you thought you were seeing the future as possible, but now you're seeing what something wants you to see. Something is showing you the future. Now, we'll get into survival in the cold in a little bit. There are more pressing matters to attend to. Because Lulu, as you can see, is looking over. And she gives a nod. She goes, "Oh, I'll get that ice dude to finish casting his spell. It seems to be stopping the decay on Zerial." Lulu, without asking, has nodded towards the elven lady, saying Zerial. Yeah, she's saying it's putting her into stasis. Let him finish. "Oh, wonderful," she say as the little imp hops over, gives a nod. She goes, "Oh, hello, little boy. How you been? I ain't seen you in forever." She even goes so far as to pick him up with her trunk and set him on top of Zerial with a nod. "Ah, you be good, my friend. She pretty strong. She'd mess you up if you piss her off." Nods. "Oh, but this isn't good," Lulu says as she shakes her head a bit. "Oh, no, no, no." As for Alec, as the light quickly fades, you're given your imp. He seems to be very small, compacted down, one hand held up, and you can see a look of utter terror and fear on his face. And he's encased entirely in stone. So it's going to take you how long? Is it 10 minutes on Find Familiar? Oh, God. Okay. Nope. Solid. Solid stone. You can give me an Arcana check if you'd like. Nimbar, you'd have to be there and inspecting. Uh, you're like, summon, 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 summon. And as Bellamy is walking around, so Isaac, you go ahead, give me that Arcana check too. As Bellamy's looking around, Jade walks over, puts a hand on her shoulder. I have bad news and worse news. Nods. The bad news is the ship. Oh, she rough shape, but I can fix it. Eventually. The worst news, I cannot find anyone else. On a 25 Arcana. No Duga. No homunculus. Nothing. They gone. It is strange. I couldn't find... He holds up a finger. On a good note, I suppose. I could not find bodies. With a 25 on the Arcana for Isaac, as you glance over at it, you suddenly realize they have managed to trap the imp inside a 9th level imprisonment spell. Well, keep in mind, you're all 9th level casters. Do any of you have the spell magic? You don't have the slot yet, because you gotta get that long rest in. Once you get a rest, you can certainly dispel magic as 9th level. Poof, it's gone. Don't forget, you're big damn heroes now. But I just happened to learn this new one in my book, look. Oh my word, oh my word. So then, Bellamy, as you're looking around, you can obviously see the smoke rising about 150 meters away towards the north, where that previous barrel had crash landed that Flux had seen. Outside of that, the silence is damn near deafening. Oh, I hit my knee. Lulu looks over in her shiny blue coat like, oh, I can. Lulu, however, is a fuzzy, woolly mammoth, so you know. Oh, and I should also add a very, very strong foreknote. And this would be very logically obvious to your players. Flying in a blizzard is suicide. You're in a snow right now, so you can fly in this small area you're in. But if you're in blizzard conditions and you try to fly, that would be silly. Dragons don't fly in blizzards. Well, you'd say a white dragon can, but specifically in Rime of the Frost Maiden, you can get a level 1 challenge against an ancient white dragon that's sitting because of a blizzard. So, yeah. And I had that actually roll, and the team was like, ah! So I turned it into a chase, because they're not taking that thing on. It'll kill them in one turn. It killed the NPC that was with them and then chased them down because it's like, why'd you go on this sidetrack? And they're like, we wanted to fight. Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, it's a dragon encounter, and I'm like, no, it's a chase now. They're in their sleds running away because nobody can fly in the blizzard. That makes sense. Run fast. But so Alec is going on a little journey towards the barrel, which isn't far at all, to be honest. Who else is going with? So Bellamy's following along. And we also have Nimbar staying back. Who's staying back with Nimbar? Alright. Lulu is not going to leave Zariel's side. She'll give a nod as she sees looking at Zariel as the other two head off into the snow. Jade looks over. I will find out how much more is broken on the ship. It appears the accelerometer's main core setting crystal has been cracked. This could be a problem for transportation. Mind you, any of you looking at the blizzard are thinking, well, if we flew our boat through that, we'd die. Very quick. Just think of throwing a paper airplane into a tsunami. So I'm going to go ahead and let the two of you go on that walk and come back. But the snow is deep and the going is hard. So the loop is going to take you 1 hour and 10 minutes. Sound good, Nimbar? Once you're out there, the wind is already picking up and the blistering cold stings. But upon getting close, you hear, "Oh, it's about time. I am not a re-entry device. What in the nine?" And you notice a barrel in the distance, with the shield strapped to the top of it and what looks to be fins on the side. As you get near, the side of the barrel suddenly blows, and you see one gigantic eyeball staring at you all. Yep. Which then gets physically shoved as it gets booted hard and lands out into snow face first. Behind it, as Duga pops out, dusts himself off and walks forward. Crickendall behind him. Looks up at Bellamy's. The two of them, you getting close. He gives a wave, big smile on his face.
Duga make escape power. You're all crazy.
Shakes his head a bit. And he of course gives you a nice squeeze back. Duga's pretty happy. Then sits on your shoulder. Shivers a little bit.
I'm fucking cold, man.
I may have to change token ownership for that one. Alrighty. When you would finish attuning to the sword after the hour, it appears to be a Vorpal Blade. Nothing? Nope, she does not as of yet hear voices. Not really that long. He basically attached to it and then said, oh, it's a Vorpal Blade. Here. Yep. But it was for all of one day. You know what I mean? Rhea had that thing for a month. But there is specific reasoning for that, of course. I just don't want to get too much into details. I will say while you're doing this, Jade will walk over to Flux, wiping grease off his hands. I'm going to be a bit more on the ship, but would you like me to identify the sword this time? Last time I just equipped it and killed some stuff, but I think there's some magic. Is identify an hour? And he'll do a ritual cast, because that's just easy. Because I think he can ritual cast. If he can't... Perfect, I thought it was the magic initiate. Yeah. Imagine they both probably could. I think they can. I think you can get feats for them, mind you. Is that it? I don't know. Yeah. No. Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, as of right now, that's all up in the air. Imagine you've got a little fire here to keep you comfy. But those checks are coming. Also, Jillian, let me know if you can view the magic item I just sent you a direct link to on D&D Beyond. Hopefully it'll load. Perfect, you're gonna need that stuff because it's gonna be rough, I'm not gonna lie. And I will say, Jade manages to pass an Arcana check in order to identify the blade as he muses, "Oh, sealed the powers were." Looks at Nimbar, "But I did it." Ha ha ha. Yeah, now it is. It is. Awesome. This is based off a magical item that actually does appear in the Avernus story, Jillian. However, I'm sending you the direct link to the one that they give. What you have is the fully activated version with all the rolls and everything done. And that's what I got. So, that's the link to the one from the story. So this is actually an honest-to-God item. This isn't just, hey, the DM threw a MacGuffin in there. No, no. And it's up to you how much of the information about that powerful artifact is shared with the team. Your familiar is resummoned and is also in stone with the same terrified look on its face, probably put through the same torment that the other one was. Nope. Actually, hang on, back that up. Would you have dismissed your familiar? Okay. So he just resummons then at that point. If you immediately dismissed him when you were hearing stuff for Alex going wrong. I mean, I could be cruel DM and say, you didn't say you did that, but that's, you know, that doesn't make sense. Your owl resummons and looks traumatized as he just sits on your shoulder and gives a nod, but doesn't say much. He's like, boss? Yep. Sir Junior happily sits just on your shoulder. He goes, "Oh, that was terrifying. Never again. I thought that guy was tough, but then he just jumped up and just, never again. No, 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 no. No." There doesn't seem to be any negative effects to your creature, however. He explains to you he spent his whole time flying between the trees trying to run as they tried to catch him. The only reason they didn't, and he didn't suffer the same fate as that poor imp, was because you dispelled him. Dagu, meanwhile, scrambles out a bag on his hip, takes a bottle out, passes it up to Bellamy. "11 counting homunculus. And 12 counting Zariel, 13 with the imp. Huh. It's around this as you're planning. Not bad, not bad. So then, as you're all working this up, Bellamy, you're gonna get a whisper in your head. "Hey, you there. You seem to be one of the easier in the group to speak to talk to, and to converse with," as the shield directly reaches out to Bellamy. "So I'm going to ask you to be my champion. I, the Gargauth, the shield, the telepathic shield that Rhea had, you know. I'm gonna miss my little buddy. She was... It was Rhea. I need your help. I need you to champion for me, because I'm going to tell you why. I made a promise to your friends that I would help them in Avernus as best I could, and I did, with the promise being that they'd help release me in Avernus. Unfortunately, that now appears to be a promise that cannot be kept, aside of the agreement that you've kept up by keeping me through Avernus. But we're not in Avernus anymore. We're now in wonderful Cania. So what I will ask of you, can you get them to promise to free me when they are able? And I will make sure to guide you to Mephisto on this level." Jade looks over. Is he hungry? He's asking for release, and he'll guide you to Mephisto. Mephisto being the leader of the 8th layer of hell. But he's saying you have to promise that you'll let him go when you can. He's confident you'll all find a way now. He's seen your power. He believes in you. He wants you to be his champion, and he's saying, "I believe. Please, I believe in you." Because as you're saying, he's asking for, he's like, "Sorry, let me be clear. I believe in your power and your strength and your capacity, and I know you will find a way to free me. So I ask you to ask them to agree with you, to promise you'll set me free when you are able, and that I will guide you to Mephisto here as well." There are few in the nine, and at this point the shield's going to speak to everybody. There are few in the nine hells that I have any degree of respect for, but Mr. Ossoviles, I have the most utmost respect for that young upstart. Incredibly talented he is, and incredibly powerful. But you wouldn't find audience very easily with him. As I have asked Bellamy, just promise you'll free me. I believe you will find a way. You are strong, big damn heroes. And you have my trust now in this regard, so promise me you'll free me. And I promise you, I'll guide you to Miss Visto's lair. Oh, certainly, I have no need to draw a sword against any of you. You're making it very clear with trouncing across the nine hells that you don't like it when people do that against you. But, unfortunately, our previous deal is null and void, since there is no cure in Avernus, and you did take me there, and I guided you through. So now I seek to broker a new deal. Promise you will set me free when you can, and I promise I'll take you to Mephisto. Correction, he says, I'll promise I will guide you to Mephisto. After all, I'm a voice and a shield. Well, you know him and you know of his personality. You're by all more than welcome to do an insight check. Especially since he was like, hey, Bellamy, do this. And she's like, I'm trying, but they say they're not trusting you. It would have been just Bellamy. But since none of you trust the shield, everybody can do an insight check. He's not playing his whole hand. He's too forthcoming. Something's not right. You're getting the heebie-jeebies for good reason with those insights, both you and Bellamy. Oh yeah, it's almost 12 o'clock. Did we need to go a little early, Kieran? You need to get some stuff done? Perfect. So then, we'll let you all sit on that big decision. We'll say, let's see, it's 11:51. We'll say 15 minutes, come back here at 12:05. Perfect. Well, 12:05, maybe 12:10 if it takes a little extra if you need the time. Alright, I'm going to cut the music down and I'm going to slap on pause. Oh, and just a heads up for everyone, I have to hard mute now. I can't use soft muting at the moment, so you'll never see the mute icon on me while we're on pause. Actually, I'll do it anyway. I can just manually pause both. Oh, hey, Dean, you there? Oh yeah, I figured you. Well, no offense. You're like me, John. You're sitting here the whole time anyway. It's just. Oh crap! My headphones cut out. That was weird. They just. Oh, too much silence. They powered off automatically. I'm back. Yep. Oh, there's no ambience. There's no nothing. So they power off after 15. Yeah, you're probably much like myself, John. You're still in the same room. Me, I just wander around, get some coffee, do some stuff, do some quick readings, some quick last minute plannings or changes. Yeah. Yeah. You think? Oh yeah, that part. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I gotta get the in-game clock going again. I have it set to the right time. I'm just gonna jump it forward 1 hour and to represent that spell, 15 minutes for the 10 minutes extra add on, 5 minutes for that, and then another 15 minutes of conversation. I'm very, very strict on date and time. Plus, if you go through the tiny hut and leave it, it disintegrates, so you can't, both of you can't cross over. You know what I mean? Admittedly, you could probably just throw him your book. Like, here, bro, catch. Physically, you both don't need to be together for what you want to do. For him to learn Wish from your book, you just need your book. And so, I mean, how the hell did you learn Wish? Was your character just sitting staring at his hand and he goes, "Oh, I got it now"? Oh, let's be honest with. We say that, but your character's probably there at one point in some spot in the past, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna really mess this one up, and I got my ring to get me out of it." And all the things happen, all hell breaks loose, and you just walk out unscathed, and you're like, "Huh, didn't need to use it." Rinse, lather, repeat. Last 10 years, you're like, "I've been looking for an excuse, and now I don't even need it." Oh, yeah, I thought you both were talking out of the game because it was distant. Oh, my bad, my bad. Was it? Oh, hey man, we're all out favorite Star Trek, Star Wars, right? Yep. It all requires a mood to watch. I'd take a hyperdrive over a warp core. Holy crap, they're fast. Like if I showed up with the Millennium Falcon inside the Star Trek universe, they'd be like, "Can we copy that engine?" And I'd be like, "Yes, you can." Friggin' Voyager be like, "7 year journey just became a couple months, friends. Let's go." My word. But we're getting. Oh yeah. Oh, it's. There's a reason they call them Trekkies, right? We trek off topic. Yeah, that was gonna be my next one. Perfect. It'd be if we had like if we used webcams, you'd just be like, oh, we're good. We're like radio old school. Love it. Uh, I'm wearing jammies. I will admit, I'm wearing a comfy shirt, and I spilled some chalky milk on it earlier, and now it has a tiny stain at the collar. I'd have to change. Like,
You got that loves chalky milk.
well, we now know what Duga's favorite drink is. Just looking at Belle and me like, what the hell is this stuff? And she's nodding. It's called chocolate milk, my friend. And he's like, Duga love. Oh, his stir stick is a piece of chalk. He just eats it and chomps down, like nodding on his face.
It's so good. You got love the chalky milk.
Just well, I'm not going to make the sound effects because that's enough of a trigger for most people. Just the crunch, crunch. You can hear it across the mountains, which shake somewhat. Dougal looking around like chalky milk. So, the shield has prosed to the party that it will guide you to Mephisto if you promise to set him free when you are able. And he's agreed. Yeah, no, I'm not going to backstab you and try and kill you later. Don't worry. And he responds calmly, everything. I'm not telling you everything at the moment. But I'll answer one thought for you. Have you ever been here to Cania before? Have you ever traversed the snows of this frozen hell? Do you even know what to expect? That, now you see, is where I have what you call the advantage in this discussion. I give you very simple terms, because I know Kenya. It has been told to me, should I ever return here, that I would be executed. However, I was taken here, and as I've mentioned to you, I have the utmost respect for Mephisto. Oh, welcome back. No worries. The shield glares at Flux for a minute like, my train of thought lost. It works so perfect, too. I wish to at least say hello to the young Mephisto and tell him what a wonderful lair he still has, as cold and desolate as my blackened heart recalls. So, you can have a guide, as I was to poor Rhea. Or you can have a shield and brace yourself for the cold reality that you're one step away from the domain of Asmodeus himself. Lulu will chirp up at this point. Yeah, I kind of knew Avernus, even with my wonky memory, but this area? And she's like making a snowball as she's saying this. I like it, and biffs it, puffs on Zerial's frozen form. But damned if I know what's going on here. Yes. In this present form, that's not possible, as I am a shield, as you say. Should I stand upon the mortal coil once again, I could ask you the same question and receive the same response. None of us like to lose their head, my dear. Except that obsidian friend of yours. He seems not too bothered. Wish I could do that. Very neat trick. Yeah, he's alright. Well, if I had shoulders, I'd shrug for you, my friend. But what happens between you and Mephisto? Well, that's gonna rely on you now, isn't it? I can get you there, but the Archdevil, Mephistopheles, Lord of the Eighth, as he toils on those endless arcane magical experiments attempting to discover the nature of the planes, you will find it hard to obtain his attention, and probably much harder to avoid it once you have it. Oh, poo poo. At that moment, Bellamy, you will feel that your shield has been lifted from your back. And as you turn to look, you see Lulu in her bright, shiny blue armor has plucked your shield with her nose and is putting it on her arm. She goes, "Oh, look at me now! I look so awesome!" And she kind of stumbles as she's just trying to walk because she can't. But she says, "This is the most cool shit I've ever seen. Oh, I love it." Oh, smiles at you and holds it up. And she has no trouble giving it back. You're kind of reminded of a crow seeing something shiny in the wild, except for this little golden floof. It was that shield of yours. She just shot like, wow. Well, then we have an agreement. Well, then, I can tell you that his mighty castle is quite the distance from here, and you will have a hard time traversing this plane, as none of you are gods. You will find it nigh impossible to teleport further than your nose from your face. Such magic doesn't work here. The cold atmosphere long since damaged and destroyed. Though you are more than welcome to attempt. I have not seen spellcasters of your caliber here without their direct authorization of myself or others. But the power you contain, maybe. But be forewarned. Telepathy also has its limits. Doesn't work after a certain range unless you rule this plane. Take those warnings with a hint of salt. 100-foot range on telepathy and telepathy effects cuts out after that. Just think of the mountain, right? That's the meta knowledge for everybody. You get about 100 feet on telepathy and telepathy effects, and apparently, teleport effects don't work on this plane. The shield. Sorry? They may. He's not sure. Anything that's a direct teleport, not so much. Anything that's you open a pocket dimension, step through that, and then come back out. Oh, yeah, that's the loophole right there, Kieran. Keep an eye on those. He also warns you that food here is worse than it was in Avernus. At least in Avernus, you could warm up dead meat. Here? Well, if you look around at the ice-trapping monstrosities, you'll see that they are quite frozen. Alec, even looking towards the nearby trees, are petrified, long since dead. So then, I'm now going to request that you keep up on your side of the bargain, as you are fully capable of releasing me from this shield at this moment in time. That can only be done by the ruler of Avernus. And at this point in time, that seat lies vacant. However, only the ruler of Avernus may wield the blade of Avernus. You understand, do you not, Flummonoxus? How such a comedic laugh it was to have the key to my own release holding me on her arm for so long, and neither of us knew. Flummonoxus, take up Zerial's broken sword, and this blade you now have. Press them against my face, and say that I am free, and it will be so. For you are the ruler of Avernus. Yep, he was a little creepy on his wording. He said, once you're capable of freeing me, you'll do it. And now he's saying, well, you're capable, keep up on your side of the agreement, and I'll take you to Mephisto. Essentially, a pact of non-aggression, so long as you're in agreement with each other. What this does mean, once he delivers you to Mephisto, but I mean, either of those, messing with Mephisto is a bigger issue. Gargauth, as you are aware, is a pit fiend trapped in a shield. Mephisto's an archdevil. Gargauth breaks through the fourth wall for a minute. You're lucky. I had to do it, man. I'm sorry. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm going to add another 15 minutes and then hit play on the damn clock. I even had it at the right time. 8:45 p.m. on the 15th of Octar. And as you touch the blade to the shield, you see a brilliant flash of darkness. There's no good to be had here as shadows twist and consume, and you feel the blade, Zerial's broken one, the emotions in it suddenly concerned, scared, screaming back as the sentient blade still has its essence remaining. But then its power is suddenly drained in the process, and you can hear the laughter as smoke twists and turns. The deep, bellowing guffaw. You know, my traditional... The smoke and brimstone twist and churn, and truly a pit fiend does appear to begin to be constructed in front of you all. Lightning and energy and brimstone, however, are met with a cascade of white light as the blade of Avernus and Zerial's sword, the power stolen from that blade suddenly, flows into the forming pit fiend whose body twists and churns in horrible style. And what you are left to see, for the briefest of instants... Oh, is my drag drop not working? No, that's not cool. It was working, now it's not. Hold on, I have to make a quick journal entry. And it's an image. Gotta love it when we change things over. My apologies, this will be just another half a second. There you go. For just the most brief of instants. And I will say, you will see this one. You all should see it now in your journal under the Cania folder. But it is only for a brief instance. And my apologies, it should have been a drag and drop into the chat, but that doesn't seem to be working. I'll have to check. They're doing a lot of updates. Foundry's about to make a big upgrade. And the drag and drop didn't work. But that... you only see within the shadows and the smoke for a brief second, and you even hear from Lulu, "Oh no," as she looks on with a look of somewhat disappointment. However, his form twists and turns further until he takes on what appears to be a human body. Tall, strong, almost 8 feet high. You can see... and not only that, he reeks of magical prowess. "Oh, Osterolf," Lulu says as she shakes her head. He gives a bow. "Ah, that was a name, wasn't it, Lulu? This thing in front of you now. About an 8-foot tall, mustached man almost, of handsome and noble visage. And I will actually say for this guy, the picture that we have for him. Someone went ahead and paid an author or an artist to draw these. You can find these all over Google and Reddit, and they're like, I paid to get this one done. And I'm like, thank you. I have a picture of his human form that I can use with perfect timing. As you see Gargauth take form in front of you, smile on those lips of his. His exact age interminable, but his maturity clear. Deep, low, and whispering, hollow voice. Usually, you could find him at any time with swash-topped boots, jerkins with slits, and capaciously puffed sleeves, velvet-lined cloak, and other such intricate finery accessorized with pendants, cloak pins, buckles, ornaments, and huge, sparkling knuckle rings, all twisting and taking form on his body as he stands tall and looks towards the group of you. Such a wonderful day, is it not? He reaches down and picks up the shield of the Hidden Lord and gives a nod and holds it to Flux. As my personal thanks, I grant you this shield. You will find it not as it was, for its magics were my own. But what you will find within this dubious piece of hardware is this powerful shield and the blessed ability to contact and communicate with me at your leisure, to which I can do with you as well, or whoever might be using it. And just so you have the repeat of it, I'm going to copy paste. This comes right out of the Forgotten Realms fandom wiki, which is a really good reference for Gargauth in general. Oh wow, that goes white on that background. I'll have to fix that. But you can pause it now and have a good read as it goes. You'll even see I even copied it and copied the reference links because I'm not taking claim for typing that. That comes from fortheforgottenrealms.fandom.com/wiki/Gargauth. Go there for spoilers. Or, don't. Both are I, both are names I held. They also used to call me, as he brings up a hand to brush his hair back, and then down to his chin as if feeling his face, adjusting his beard a little, moving the cloaks. Taroth, or Goromoth, Soul Drinker. You're all allowed to go ahead and give me an Arcana knowledge, or History knowledge check. You can do Arcana as well, spellcasters, as you know, or not History, sorry, Knowledge Religion, or Arcana. As you know, there's a little bit of that religious knowledge inside of Arcana. Just expect higher DCs for Arcana versus History. I don't normally blurt that out, but I do for knowledge checks. I do have to pause for a quick second as these rolls come up, because Bellamy with a 9, I know exactly what Bellamy says. I'm willing to bet it's something along the lines of what you always do in these cool scenarios. Hi, I'm Bellamy. But we'll get to that in a second. I'll let these rolls drop. Nimbar gets a 25, and looks like he's got a good chunk of the jump on that. And Flux, meanwhile, is like, why is he taller than me? He's supposed to be a pit fiend, not a human. Yep. Nimbar, what you remember with a 25. And yeah, with disadvantage, that's pretty damn good. You got good rolls on that. Only one, I can't remember the odds, it's 20 to the power 20 for the number of chances to roll the same die. But, Nimbar, you recall, Gargauth was incredibly powerful, but more of a rumored sort of being for Goromoth, the Soul Drinker, Astaroth. And you speak out another one of the nicknames, the 10th Lord? To which, with the massive 32, Isaac would catch that no, Gargauth was a former archdevil and the Faerunian demigod of betrayal and political corruption. It was wandering the material planes after being cast from hells for reason unknown. This is an utterly depraved devil, dedicated to infecting the realms with his own brand of corruption and cruelty. An incarnation of evil most rotten, Gargauth embodied the inevitable moral decay that followed both the victories won by evil means and the selfish, greedy, and ambitious entities, both leaders and groups, that achieved them. Again, from Forgotten Realms, fandom.com. And though he was demoted to Pit Fiend, as you recall, he takes a moment to point at the sword of Zariel and say, my apologies. The blade was leaking the last of its powers, and I did not want to see it wasted. So I thought it would be fitting to restore me. But I'm sure you'll fix it. It was broken anyway, right? For some small mercy, Flux, you can tell the blade still carries its sentience. He didn't kill it, but whatever powers was left behind are now gone. Lulu does not look happy. She's like, oh, that is not right. Do you know how long it takes us to forge one of those blades and the amount of power has to go into it? We can't call up 3 planios in order to get... And she just continues on him, sounding more like a customer who just got ripped off. Gargauth was a very, very, very important character in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd edition D&Ds. So for them to nerf him as they did for this campaign made me a little sad. Thanks, everyone. You've restored a demigod. Not necessarily a good one, but definitely a higher power stands before you. Oh. And he'll reach a hand out and catch it and give it a shake. Gargauth, enchanted. Wonderful to meet you. And he does so to the remainder of the group as well. You'll all... And you notice Gargauth, however, seems to be looking back and forth, not towards the group anymore. Well, usually my presence would be enough. And you see he's like turning and he's looking around. He even puts a hand on Bellamy's shoulder, turns her to this, like, pushes you slightly towards one side as he looks past you, then lets you go back where you were. Like, looking everywhere randomly. Normally, there would be a greeting when someone like me steps onto this plane. I'll be somewhat honest. I was expecting them to come and take us all and bring us to Mr. Vigolfigles, but, damn. It would appear I'm going to be taking you all for a walk, aren't I? Well, that is unfortunate. He gives a pause, rubs his chin, says, well, actually, no, maybe not. It has been an entertaining venture up until this point. I mean, don't expect me to help you with a fight or anything. I dare not draw attention to myself on a plane that I shouldn't exist without my death being certain, but with my power, it shouldn't be an issue. However, as much as I have a pact of non-aggression with you all, it seems to be I am blessed in such a similar regard here, and I wish not to shake that boat. I'm sure you understand. The 10th Lord of the Nine. And at this point, Nimbar might be going through all the nicknames in his head. He's like, the 10th Lord of the Nine, the 10th Lord of Nine, the Hidden Lord of the Shield, the Lost Lord of the Pit, the Lord who watches, the Lord of all, the Outcast, the Exile, formerly the Treasurer of Hell. And a slow smile slides across his face. Of course I am. He's young and powerful, and him and his 6 compatriots that joined us, that was very strange, but... He gives a shake of his head. No, I fear not Asmodeus. And someday I will crush him too, as I will the others, but... for now it is... And he puts his hands behind his back and seems to bend slowly backwards, looking towards the sky. Very nice to stretch my old bones. Rude, he says with a nod. With manipulations on time and space and warping and traveling, you may very well be correct in that assumption. I do not know if linear time can truly define the age of us beings. I mean... Oh yeah, you go right ahead. He reaches down, grabs Alec by the collar, and lifts him a little off his feet. I hate that guy. He has caused so many paradoxes. Takes a deep breath, slowly lowers Alex. My apologies. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is a bad guy after all. You know, that person wouldn't like him very much. Though I think there was an episode. It's like I met him on a spaceship one time, took control of this lady, did my best to try to kick his ass. No, he outsmarted me. It was pretty good. While just yelling "Allons-y" or some crap. So I do have a nice little mini for him on the field. I'm going to go ahead and configure the permissions on that, so you're all going to be listed as owners, and he'll pop in the NPC channel that way. But none of his stats are on his sheet. He has a basic character sheet, 10 on everything. That's like, I want to see what he can do. Honestly, it's like reading through at that point something much deeper. So there you are. You see Lulu marches over in the snow. She glares up at Gargauth. Well, you know what, big guy? He looks down, chuckles, and crouches really low. Almost comes eye to eye with her. What? Big smile on his face. She nods. I didn't make no pact with you, and headbutts him right between the eyes. He comes up, he's like rubbing his nose, like, ow, mother. Oh, that really. And Lulu's like, oh, I got him, look at that. Yeah. Oh. Just dances around behind. Gargauth gives a chuckle. He's like, well, at least she's honest. Rubs his nose a bit. Oh, she knows how to charge. That's a bit annoying. I'm going to be smelling golden hair for like a week. Oh, that's unfortunate.
So I don't know if she's going to be with us, but do we have access to Mammoth?
Oh yeah, it's just an alternate form she would take. I'll make one up for it. Actually, it would just be it just changes her size more or less, if I recall. It's a pretty basic switch up, but you do have access to Mammoth Lulu. Oh yeah. It's around this time. Jade's going to walk back, and you're going to see he's just covered in soot, oil, and dirt and whatever. And he just walks up, gives a pat on to Gargauth as he holds up a, a drumstick. He's like, "Hey, I found this on some of Rhea's stuff. You know, the legendary drumstick of eat this for a free long rest." Passes it over. You should eat something, my friend. It is. I've not seen you out of the shield. You should eat something. Just keeps walking. Gargauth gives him a weird glance, then shrugs. He spins it around, however, and says, "Oh, that is unfortunate. I'm not sure if the magics would work on this lair." They still will. It's just they still will. He's just uncertain because he's never seen anything not freeze. He does take a minute, though, wraps it up nicely, and then passes it over to Bellamy, since she's right in front of him. Says, "Here, you may want to hold on to this." He does, however, you note he's got one of Rhea's bottles that he's slowly taking the cap off, and it's one of the nicer ones. And takes a slow smell. Like, you want to know what the absolute best thing, and the only good thing about the 8th layer is? He chuckles as you say that and nods, and then puts the bottle up. Tilts it back. And no, he doesn't clear the whole thing. That would be silly. He takes a little drink, and then gives a soft sigh of release. That's half of what makes it wonderful, but not all. And he holds the bottle over towards Nimbar. It doesn't just taste good, it tastes perfect, delicious, horribly so. Give me a wisdom saving roll. You manage to resist the temptation to chug it. You've never tasted such a good liquor in your life. And even then, it's not even that. The bad side, the burn, there's none of it. The feeling, it's gone. But it's... You managed to pull back at the last second as you could feel this very lair of hell seem to push you, pardon me, seem to push you towards that oh so unforgivable sin of gluttony for a brief moment. You would have chugged that bottle and went for another and another, no problem. You wouldn't, not a second thought. You've never felt the urge like that before, but you managed to just set it aside, and you can tell it was when it touched your lips, when you drank of that liquor. But the second it was gone, that overwhelming feeling also passes with it. And he gives a nod and says, see, it's not easy to come here and avoid the corruption. Be cautious. Hell drops you in more ways than just death. And he's going to... Mind you, he's going to take a few steps in the snow and hold a finger up. Same applies to water. So be careful not to deplete your reserves. And don't eat the snow. Do you like the ice sculptures that are in this area? These beautiful mountain ranges in the distance, the horrendous glaciers. And you see he's pointing at things that none of you can see. There's too strong of a blizzard. Watch. And he points off in the distance. And what first sounds like thunder quickly grows in intensity and strength to what sounds like an earthquake in mid-air. Wind and air rush past you all, enough that you almost are thrown off your feet. Poor Doggo's holding on to the back of Bellamy's shield as he's just flapping in mid-air. Doesn't seem too fazed by it, however. You notice the storm seems to split for a brief moment, and you can see an endless ocean of cold water and two gigantic glaciers sledgehammering into each other, rocking, twisting and turning. Large chunks break off and fall into the ocean, large enough that you could see homes built upon it and still have room for days, almost like tiny continents moving everywhere across the plain. Everywhere you turn and look is endless ocean and endless cliff. But what might really draw your attention as the snow splits and tears is what it reveals in the ice. Yeah, I went to do the copy paste again, it didn't work. So give me one moment, I'm going to just put in a quick little cute picture here. As what appears to be the form of an Archon, or maybe a diva, frozen in the ice, above some unknown spined creature still frozen where the wastes left them. Gargauth smiles back towards you with a nod. Everything turns to ice, but this snow that falls. He takes a moment and removes a purple velour glove from one of his hands, taloned fingers extending outward as he holds up. He looks back with a smile. It's very cold, and as a snowflake lands on his palm, you can see the very skin glisten as it begins to crystallize from the effect. He waves a hand, however, and it returns him completely to normal, regenerating as he puts the glove back on. Don't worry, however. You have nothing to fear, Bellamy Finch, he says with a nod. The cold will not bother me. I will be fine. And then smiles again. I said I'd guide you, but you have to be alive for that. So you'll have to find a way to survive, because you seem to have found a rather intricate place. And he spreads his arms out wide. There was... Actually, you know what? No. You're smart wizards. You could figure it out. Mr. Phophocles enjoys his arcane experiments, and this was the site of one some millennia ago. You're always more than welcome to just roll an arcane knowledge check as or an investigation check as well, to see if you can find stuff or etc. Oof. Lulu's head pops up between the two of you, staring right at him. No, not at all. As for the 25, the 19 unfortunately is not a pass. I mean, wow, that's really unfortunate. You did some good rolls earlier, it's fair. You kick some ass earlier, pay for it later, that's how D&D works. But a 25 on the Arcana, you can tell that this area, as a glance around, the magic that permeates it has been permanently affected somehow. But it would take you a bit of time to figure out what's going on. You'd probably have to ritual cast Detect Magic, and then meditate, and then do another Arcana check, and etc. But these aren't things you'd fail at. They would just take time. You have to, basically, you can realize something's offset the entirety of this area magic-wise. What effects it's having, you're not sure. Alrighty. And he gives a rub of his chin as the cold air starts to get bitter, and you're all going to have to give me a con save. Unless... Right, you're inside the tiny hut. Everyone's comfy inside of there. They give you resistance to cold or immunity? I can't remember. Yeah, You're getting this cool effect every now and again from standing too long in the snow. It's like, whoa, am I turning into an ice crystal monster? Oh, no, you just move your arm, it breaks and falls off. Not your arm, the ice. My word. No, your character won't take any effect from the storm or the cold. Since you are immune to cold damage, what can it do to you? For you, you might almost consider it relaxing. Sure. You're in a plane of existence that's technically classified as a hell, but this is the definition of nature. It would be as if you were at the North or South Pole in Earth, which your character's never been to. But you get the meta reference. And yeah. The rest of you, unless you have some way to be immune to cold damage, are going to need to do a Constitution savings throw, as the temperature is at least -50. It's probably around -80. I'm going to try and build a custom add-in for the clock. It actually has a setting for temperature, but right now it's -37 degrees Fahrenheit and saying scattered clouds, when it should be like blizzard everywhere and everywhere. Your friend Gargauth, who's with you, can quickly and easily confirm. This is like the only place he's ever seen next to Mephisto's home that's this comfortable. He advises you. No, that's why I said he was on the outside with the snow falling on his hand. I remember that earlier, and then later said, what about you all? But you're all good for your con saves, because you're inside. Those of you immune wouldn't be. But since you're inside Tiny Hut, you're inside Tiny Hut. He's also going to implore you to think very carefully before you take your next steps, advising that you have found probably the one safe haven inside of this zone. until something finds you here. This plane of existence has its own denizens and creatures that live here, and monstrosities across as well like you've never seen. And that's where you suddenly hear boom behind yourself. You look, you see the monodrone is getting up from a small crater of snow as it's adjusting itself and spinning a bit, and he looks over and shakes his head. Gargauth does, that is. Idiot. Why would you attempt to fly? He has wings. He was just trying to take off, and the blizzard got him, and he crashed. You're like, if this works with this, I designate this as my word of recall zone.
This is where we're gonna go if I need to cast it.
Alrighty, cast. Jade pauses as he looks up and then points up to you towards the cliff face near where the ship is. Around here. You see your bike's halfway jammed in there, sticking out. He gives a nod. He goes, I climbed up there quickly and made sure it was okay. Unfortunately, it didn't seem damaged, but it might be a Flummonox's job to get that one out, yes. He cracks his knuckles a bit and stretches. The same cannot be said for our ship. It is a bit damaged. I have good news and I have bad news. And I also have the typical traditional Tabaxi voice so long as Dan is away. Yes. It's a surmise about 50 feet. Oh, you're in no pressure of worrying about that. You could get to it fairly close to that 50-point marker. From where you're presently standing, I don't know, another 75 feet straight out. So I'd say 100 feet direct line you to it. Now, keep in mind, if you exit your tiny hut, it uncasts. Perfect, just wanted to check on how that was going. Too many spells. Nice. And I'm assuming at that point Bellamy's heading over like, I'm gonna check out my goddamn run. Make sure. It's a little dinged. Little bent, little scuffed. Nothing you can't fix, and still in great shape. Gargauth would speak up. He's like, you may want to see if you can get some Cambion armor while you're down here. The same... You remember, as he looks over towards Alec, that wonderful ride we had? That was a lot of fun, that blue thing. You can find the metal down here, though. Nah. He gives a smile. Good times. Oh, that will be a job. Jade clears his throat. I said I have good news and bad news. Good. Well, my friends, sorry to be blunt, but I wanted to jump in because, our ship, it can fly. It still can hover. It still works. I've been repairing and fixing, and I've restored its capacity. He's brought the health up high enough that it can fly. However, the propulsion, the crystal that makes it go, it's no go. It's badly damaged. We would need to replace or repair or find a suitable replacement as well. And that would be tricky at best. And you see he starts searching through his bags and all of his inventory, which takes about 10 minutes. I could not find a good replacement, so we don't have thrust. Though I'm not sure, as he looks up towards the blizzards with a bit of a chuckle. Not sure we could do anything with the thrust in that wind. It would most certainly kill us. But he walks over to the ship. But raises a hand up and gives it a push, and you see the ship drifts for him as he does. Like a boat on the water, since it's simply hovering. And he taps his nose a bit. It still moves fairly freely, so there's that. Not sure what to do, though. Given the exceptionally beefy size of them tires, yeah, Bellamy could rock that. However, you are not going to be able to go at full speed by any means. I mean, I can see Bellamy as Alex, like, how are you going to ride that in the snow? And Bellamy's like pulling out these 6-inch long hellfire spikes from a bag on her hip. Probably says the same way I did when I found the mirror the first time and starts putting them in. I'm not actually kidding you either. You could put studs in a... Oh, sorry, I slipped on that one, but you know what I mean. I was having a bit of meta fun on that. Oh, if anything, she might have said that she was up in the north last time she was going through the north or anything, but she has gear to equip the tires. I've overstepped my bounds here. This is entirely up to you how you go with it. I was mostly just making the joke. Yep. Mm. Bellamy getting a flashback to Zerial just holding out the sword, like... However, that being said, Nimbar, you notice a shadow above your head on top of your tiny hut. Lulu, she has rolled a snowball up on top and is patting it in place, big smile on her face. She looks down at you. Oh, what? And you notice, actually, snow is heavily building on top of your tiny hut anyway. I mean, that's the natural exact of what happens with a tiny hut outside in the snow. But she's rolled a small ball and she has it on top. Jade gives his jaw a bit of a rub. Well, the ship, it's still fairly sound if I had the strength and the capacity of a blacksmithery. And he gives a look at Flux and you see he wiggles his brow with a big smile. I could seal the hull back up and it would be at least shelter for us, yes.
Oh, you want me to do that?
He smiles and nods. I think it would be a fun project.
Okay, let's do it.
So that'll give you something to do, but it will take your long rest to repair the ship. You still get the effects of a long rest, but it's your activities done during it. And just expect an 8-hour junction.
Yeah,
Jade just waves a hand. Ah, we do not need sleep. I need my ship fixed. Nods.
Gotta prioritize right
Do you think we should repaint it? I was thinking black.
Or we can think of blue, so it matches better.
Okay.
And also, it's my favorite color.
He gives a nod. Okay, makes a note. Next time during repairs, I'll try again. Check mark. Dan had made a note. He's like, no, if Jade's going to be fixing it, he's going to be like my ship and have some fun with it. So it gives me something to target and play up a bit. Very much a team player still, though. Oh, yeah. With that, you can tell that this area has been permanently modified. There's multiple forms of magic into the air, some of it quite higher than you've seen. It takes your strong arcana knowledge, and thankfully with the aid of your ally, Isaac, as well, to bounce questions off of. You're able to determine that this area's magnetical polarity and geopolitical status has been in and of itself idealized and synchronized to itself. It no longer matters what the rest of this world is like to this one spot. The magnetical poles have been set for here and here alone, so it has its own pocket weather dimension. It's the strangest little thing. The weather here will always be a soft snowstorm. And given the way that it works, you can roughly describe it as a house of cards or popsicle sticks. If someone were to mess with these magics and try to change them or mess them around, you don't know what would happen. But right now, this is about 5 magical failures stacked on top of each other, creating this effect. If one fails or is twisted, they'd all go, and this might turn to a hellscape. It's at that moment Isaac would feel a small tug on his hip. Looking over. Of course, it's Duga, who gives you a nod and holds up a bottle.
Take a drink, friend. It help.
As he makes his way over to the small rudimentary fire Flux had made. Now, I know there's still Tiny Hut. Duga, however, he throws a full bottle back like it's nothing, sets it down, gives a burp of all things, but doesn't seem too affected. Probably doesn't come as any surprise. Given what he's been through with Mad Maggie and the sheer volume of those sort of things he's probably done, I'm just gonna let him pass. This guy can drink with the best of them. Twice. It's like you go out for a night of drinking and you completely flatten everyone at the table except this old man sitting in the corner. And you're like, we're gonna go for another shot here, old guy. And he's like, wait, we're playing games? Hang on. Get the good stuff. And then you don't remember. But he wins. That's Duga. At least for now. Oh, sure. Now, I am pausing the clock temporarily because this will mark where the long rest starts. So now it's just, what are you planning on doing? So your character is going to examine the Zariel statue? Or the icicle? Popsicle? Zarielsicle? No, that doesn't sound good. Zarisicle. That's actually pretty good. Zarisicle. You inspect the Zarisicle. Lulu will be with the Zarisicle. She's staring intently and looks worried.
At some point, oh, sorry.
Well, it's not at the best, my friend, she says with a nod as she looks towards you. It's Azariel's in there, but I can see her so fighting against another one, this small little pitch of flame. It's weird. I think we pitched up a hitchhiker when we went through the portals. No, separate force, she says with a nod. This, it's like it latched on, this small little pitch of flame in there. Now we have this strange scenario with two souls fighting for one body. But thankfully, to my little icy friend, and you see the imp appears and he's sitting on her head. She gives a big smile as she looks up, he gives her a pat and goes back to scritching behind one of her ears. This little dude here put her in some suspended animation or something, and it slowed the process right down. I ain't got nothing to worry about. Oh, no, because I know you are. We figure a way to save her, right? Right? You see that little sad look on Lulu's face as she looks up, right? Oh, yeah. Yes. So that conversation and finding that out will take a little while. Lulu will also reveal as this goes on, as she mentions about the souls, and you're like, oh, souls. Lulu says, oh, it's so nice. That's how I can tell you apart, because you know how you humans look the same to me, right? My vision is not so good, she shakes her head. You've got, over there we got metal human, as she nods once at the monodrone, and we got purple human, and we got woodsy human, and then we got tiny human, and then we got a book human, and we got a blue human, and we got a pink hair human, and we got Zerio here who turned into a pretty human. Just gives a nod. I don't really see forms. I just see the souls. Gargauth speaks up. And what do you see when you look at me? Lulu glares. I ain't seen nothing. Darkness, black, no soul. Looks away. He frowns a little. Well, big smile on his face. She's not wrong. He frowns a bit. Why would you ever want to hit Lulu? Big grin again. And you see a drink's in his hand and a beautiful golden goblet as he takes a sip. Of course I know you were... I mean, I haven't had eyes for a century. How am I supposed to know how these work correctly? Waving his hand in front of his face as he even rolls them a bit and takes a drink from the goblet. He may not have had eyes for a while, but his hand-eye coordination seems fine. And he looks at his hand, palm facing him as he holds it up right at you. Brings it slowly to his nose. Yeah, seems to be working great, don't you think? Holds it right out at you. Gives you a wink. He even gives a chuckle. He's like, oh, I'm going to enjoy this trip. It's going to be like a little vacation. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so glad you noticed. It's my favorite. You know that devil's food cake that you have up on the surface? My invention. You might be thinking, how is that his invention? Well, can you ever only have just one slice? Yeah. So, that's what you're all up to. And don't mind me, I gotta cycle through now. Anything for Bellamy while you're all on this break? Because Flux is going to be working on the ship to get it back into at least comfortable order with Jade. Wow, I can't believe I forgot that. It's because he's not in my chat list. So that leaves the last couple as we go through. So anything for Bellamy? Perfect. And perfect. Anything for Nimbar and anything for Isaac. And I'm saying that because you're both the spellcaster, so I don't know if you're planning stuff together. As of right now, you're on an 8-hour long rest inside of a tiny hut. Exactly. Since it is the time... the question falls, can your character go without sleep right now? You can take a long rest. You've had sleep recently. Yeah. So you're going to lose 6 of your 8 hours. That's the thing to keep in mind. You'll have 2 hours for spell copy time. I love how the question is this what we're doing? It's like, let's do the math. Oh, yeah, that's fair. So that's what you're both up to, is you're holding up Tiny Hut to keep things warm and comfy. Every now and again, Jillian's character Flux would come back, rubbing her arm. She's like, I don't understand how the hell that Tabaxi is over there without any trouble whatsoever. I swear to God he has plot armor or something. Heads back over working on the ship. Yep. Oh, an actual time magic spell. Yeah, that'll take you a full resounding amount of time. Did I say it was full or double? Yep. Because I was thinking it takes full. I'm like, that's not what I said. I said double. I wanted to make sure though, in case I was about to just cheat you. Oh yeah. Yep. You're like, so this is how we bend reality to our wills. I see now. And Gargauth is even like, be careful with that one. It's not as... Oh no, he gets a smile as you're going through quickly. He's like, I always love to see very capable mortals using very capable matters of spell. Very good. He pauses for a second. What's it? What's the phrase? Pats your character on the shoulder. Very good, young one. Yes. That's the phrase, I believe. And then he steps off. Lulu's at least a century. And you can tell when he did that pat on your shoulder for learning Wish in 18 minutes, it wasn't out of sarcasm. He was honestly giving you a bit of praise. That small moment of, wow, that's impressive for a mortal. Good job. And as you notice, as this long rest goes on, Lulu and Gargauth have now built a snowman together on top. And Gargauth's putting the finishing touches as he's helping to design the face. And he actually has incredible sculpting capacity. Going through making it look like Lulu in a nod. Near the end, she's like, so, wait, I'm confused. When did you start helping me? He gives a nod. When I realized it might fall on one of their heads, I thought it'd be funny. She snorts a laugh, says, oh, come on, that's not all. See, Lulu's a little torn for a brief moment. But they continue to make a snowman. Yes, they do. So I'm going to skip forward the 8 hours.
I did want to do one more thing.
Oh, yes, definitely.
I'll probably go and see, like, toward the end of the night, when everything, all the work is done. I'll see if I can go find Lulu, like, by herself somewhere quiet.
Oh, that wouldn't be a problem.
So I'll go over to Lulu, and if she's asleep, I'll just kind of gently stroke her head.
Oh, no, she's rolling a snowball as you come over. She looks up, oh, hello, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm okay. Lulu, I think we'll ever see Raina again.
Lulu seems to give a bit of a pause as you say that, and she rests her trunk on top of the snowball she was rolling, and she looks down at it and looks up towards you. Well, I don't really know, Fluminoxus. I really don't know. It's a question I was wrestling with myself when we arrived. It was, we came at her cost, and she willingly gave it up. But with the planes sundered as they are, I don't know where her soul went. She might be trapped on Avernus. She may have returned to the higher powers, or she might have... Oh, me, Then Lily gives the snowball a nudge. That's why I'm making snowman. I don't have the answers, and I don't want to think on questions, you know? She nudges... She gives a nod and hits the snowball over, which rolls and lands at Fluminoxus's feet. Well, that seems to be the way it goes sometimes with battle, and those of us who have to wield the soul. We know the second we drop it out, we might not get to say goodbye to our friends, but we still hold up the sword. For them. Would you like to help throw a snowman?
Yes, I would love that.
So, which probably leads to an entertaining scene where Philomenoxis, Gargauth, and Lulu have a giant snowball setting on top of the tiny hut, and they're wondering how are we going to get the second and third parts on here. Because with that much strength behind you, you probably forgot as you're rolling, as you're letting your troubles flow away. But the 8 hours will come and go without any crazy shenanigans by the dungeon master. Again. Poor Rhea. They made the ultimate swap out. John's character is like, I'm gonna grab the feather. Rhea's like, rate the feather. The party's like, oh no. Oh, it was a good moment. But,
Yeah, I kind of forgot the implications, honestly.
yeah.
My brain was filled with panic, and I was just like, yes, let's do the thing.
I definitely did it.
Nimbar was gonna do it himself, but he ran out of actions. Lulu, however, would confide with Nimbar in that moment, because, as those conversations are coming up, she'd reaffirm to you not to feel too bad, because she would hear that your character drew it out and was going to do it, but there wasn't time. She'd confirm to you that, unfortunately, Zariel's essence was bound to Rhea's, and to bring her, that was the cost. It was one we hoped not to pay, because if you were on the mortal plane and held a feather aloft, we could have come and just assist. But, no, don't hold that against yourself. Where you were, sadly, only Rhea. Only Rhea. She lifts the trunk up and sets it on top of your character's head since you're about the same height as you, pulls you in and gives you a bit of a tight hug. It's okay, Nimbar. No, don't you worry. It's okay, Nimbar. Don't you worry. You just come right on in. You take a big hug of the golden fluff. You'll feel better. Don't you worry, none. Just at the mention of your character, you ever lose any children? Just pulls you in for a big, tight hug. Lulu's very warm and comfy. As for planning, as you're all saying such, Lulu gives a nod at the broken sword, glares a little bit at Gargauth and says, well, as we're going to have to find someone who can fix that, because if we can fix it, we can get Zariel back, because her essence is bound to the sword. So if the sword's gone, Zariel's gone. But if the sword's there, I mean, it stands to reason, right? And unlike Lulu and Avernus, who always seemed to know what she wanted to do at times, this one seems to be clutching at the straws of hope. Oh, yeah. Yeah, these are the things during it, which is why the game's still paused, but you have the effects of a long rest. Oh, yeah. Gargauth has gone ahead and made himself a hammock out of snow. Welcome to Truly Level 17.
By the way, just so everyone remembers, in Cactus Club and it does allow us to change our campers.
Yep.
I already did that last time. You pointed out very smartly that the staff has staff in the press. Oh, I should change mage hands. That's a good point. Because I forgot mage hands also
Is that a wizard thing?
yes.
No, it is every class gets it. Most class gets it at level 4, which is
Is it?
Yes,
Is it not
sure.
restricted?
I might be wrong. I might be
I would.
To ability score increases for other classes, like whenever you reach
I
a
don't
level.
believe so. It's a level 4 feature for you.
I find that.
I think it is based on the
No, that's for skills. That's for skills, not for skills.
whenever you reach a level in this class that grants an ability score, they gave Wizard the super awesome version. They gave everybody else the much more tame version. As is with everything they do when it comes to conventions.
But there's no favorite class, you guys.
Yeah.
So don't think it is a favorite class. It's definitely
There's definitely not a favorite class or a unfavorite class. They love them all equally as they like bring within close shows.
It's like that meme where it's like the lunch, like the nice, it's like the breakfast, the nice little like teddy bear shaped like big bread, and then like the other thing is just like the bread, like the teddy bear cut out of it, right? And like the nice meal is the wizard, and the bread with the thing cut out is the ranger. Like the ranger gets like screwed so bad by wizards.
Oh.
It really is.
Conqueror is called Wizards of
Should be Fighters of the Coast. Fucking love fighter class. That's one of my personal faves. That's not me like saying anything on Jillian for that one, but I love fighter. I like to just kick doors in and punch people. I don't I don't get it though, man. By the time I finished out with fighter at the end of 3.5, man, I was god.
So, but the thing is, Fighter had like very overpowered at the same time.
Yeah.
Just thought they optimized the hell out of the thousand.
Yeah, it could be good. It's just the fact that they put like they didn't spend any time giving it any of its humanity. It was just like you just get more feats. Here you go.
And Gargauth's gonna lean forward as you're all chatting. It's like, yeah, I remember how magic was back then too, and I could do some crazy stuff. It was fun. Bumped into an Iron Eyes one time up in Avernus. Ooh. Yeah. Oh yeah. So with your long rest now behind you, because I'm just gonna shove us back over because I'm cruel. Hee. Long rest is now behind you. What is the plan? Yeah, good old spell plague. Jade and Fluminoxus have repaired the ship back up to standard. However, it presently lacks a propulsion system. Its crystal is damaged. You can fix it, but not without resources. Not that it would matter. Flight would be insane in this level. But it is floating, and Bellamy has equipped her Devil's Ride with spiked tires. Your Devil's Ride will be able to pull this vehicle along, no problem, on top of snowy terrain. Yeah.
See, I was also looking at doing that, but my thoughts are is if throw a wish down and if that was 6 seconds.
that's a good point. Speaking of 6 seconds, Alec will cast the event clip dispel magic.
Oh,
Meanwhile, Nimbar's like, oh, right. So you hear cracking as the stone that held your imp together breaks, falls off of his form. He screams as this happens. You just ah! And disappears from existence.
Yeah, I'll try to do something after this.
Because I put him right back. You resummon him and he stands there, knees shaking, still in imp form, as he's looking left and right, somewhat terrified. He starts feeling his body over. He's like, oh, man. He looks up towards you a bit. Seems almost cowering in fear. It's like, how long was I? How long did he have me trapped? I was... Seems white as a ghost. Oh, man. He found a way to trap me. That I couldn't escape, and you couldn't outsummon me, and I was stuck between life and death. Just dying. In pain as I was crushed for eight hours straight. He just jumps right. He jumps in and climbs up onto your shoulder. Nope. No, thank you, boss. Sits. As Kamashag now has obtained claustrophobia. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nimbar presently patting a giant pillar of snow that he had set up under Tiny Hut, pushing up at the very top so that the giant snowman you've sculpted just drops onto it. Oh, it's way too large. It's comedically large, but you could use one of the other ones. I'm not sure it would fit. I will say you were fortunate that people were coming in and out of the hut constantly. That kept a sort of doorway. It made a little igloo. And Kieran, sorry.
Don't you have to roll after you do wish?
Okay, but your strength still becomes 6. Or 3. That's just part of it.
What?
Oh no, after doing that first.
Yeah.
Which doesn't have blowback if you use it just to cast a spell. If you try to create then you suffer from the
Actually, before I start casting actually no.
The whole idea is that which is severe by that blowback, so they can use that as a like full wish system illusion. Just cast anything.
Actually, you have a ring.
I do. I have a ring.
You only use that because with the rest of us against gold.
My question is if I use the ring and I suffer blowback from the ring, do I lose my win? Do I lose my wizard spell wish?
Anyone casting the spell Wish can be affected by its blowback.
We'll just say on.
If you want to do it, I'll toss that.
Wait, let's not let her do it.
Yeah, well, not.
Yeah. All right. Hey, how about you're in? Or one of our familiars.
I think
Snip has been through enough. Yeah, I was gonna say it, but like, I think
I stare a bit.
I'll yeah. I don't want to risk like they might be really effective. I will spell. Yeah, so
Gargauth, from his hammock, is going to point a finger and say, "You're right. It is just another spell that any of you can cast who can cast spells." And he holds up what appears to be a coconut half shell with a straw in it that he takes a sip from. And it takes Isaac a minute to realize that to everybody else this sounds like it's in stereo. Your simulacrum is talking along perfectly with you. Just pauses, looks at you. I'm sorry, it was natural, okay? Gives a nod. He points at you. If anyone asks your opinion, I'm not giving it anymore, ever, unless I'm told to, or it's gonna get real confusion, buddy. Gives a nod. Everything in stereo. And that's when Gargauth is gonna speak up. Yes, of course, when mortals try to dip their toes into the realms and power of gods to warp reality to their wills, of course you can expect punishment for that. So be very careful with that mystical, magical capacity to cast wish. I've seen so many mortals end up here because of it. Nah, looks good. Gonna watch it, but I haven't watched it yet. No time.
okay, well then just this is an extent that my brain went this way. I was like casting some of I'm like, oh yeah. Once you see the show, you'll understand.
No, someone can clone themselves. You have a copy of your character standing there. Just keep in the mind of the rules of Simulacrum. They're basically a use it and burn it sort of ability.
Yeah. Well, that's good. This guy basically like the whole gimmick is that arguing like who's the original, who's the copy. Copy has half my enemies and doesn't get spells back.
Then make sure to edit the copy that's in there so it matches that info. If it's max health, it's half yours. Just override settings on it. I don't know if there's an actual way to just create a Simulacrum. I wouldn't be surprised if there was something in here that lets me, but... Let me see here.
Teach them how to pilot the ship.
I mean, yeah.
They let...
Find that like he's probably going to be honest. And he knows this too, because he created from me. When he's out of using spells, I'm going to probably cast a black from it and replace it. It's when you're working with magic at this level, it's kind of just the nature of the.
And the Simulacrum looks over towards Alec as that said and gives a bit of a shake of his head. No, it's an odd thing to be in this form. I'm not me, but I am me, but I'm not me. There's a certain fear you have about losing oneself through death, right? I'm more of an extension of that guy, as he points a thumb over towards Isaac. My death and then my resurrection will be the exact same thing if the spell's recast. It's very strange. Maybe someday you'll know the feeling if you use the same ability, but... Then you see he looks side on at himself, then looks back towards you and looks side on at himself again. It's like, it feels like a bad 90s sitcom and starts walking towards Lulu. Oh, that'd be nice. What was that, Jillian? He was for a minute. He's like putting clothes on, thinking, "You think if I was made of snow, the cold wouldn't bother me anyway?" But frig me. He like glares at the other Isaac. "Oh, I see. You keep the good cloak." Oh, don't worry. It's just for today's game for me, thankfully. Yep. I had to resist saying that one. I have to admit, the easy shot. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Is it still popular? I thought that was overdone by Moana now. Oh, right. Damn it. Forgot about Frozen 2. My apologies. You're going to be stuck with that for 2 years. Everyone's niece who's a niece is a big fan of it, even the nephews. Everyone loves that damn thing. It's good, don't get me wrong, but oh my god, you have to listen to that like 5 times a day. Oh, yeah. You'll never get a song that perfect. It's that damn song is the Under the Sea of our generation. Remember Under the Sea, bum 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 bum. Under the Sea, bum 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 bum. Yeah, that's this. Let it go, and everyone's addicted. Or any number of other stupid Disney songs. And yes, I say stupid Disney song. And you can get mad at me, Disney fans. I say stupid because they get stuck and addicted in my damn head too. You're welcome. Oh, yes, exactly. Yes. Get stuck in my head so bad. I have some of their songs on my flash thingy that comes up on my car. The other day I was listening to actually the Moana "You're Welcome" while I'm in traffic. Some dude looks at me funny. I crack the window a bit. He hears the music. He goes, "Oh, I just see him nod as he understands what's going on." It's like, don't mind me. I'm a goof. Oh, it's a good song. Yeah. 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 There's a few of those songs like that they come out with, and you hear them, and you're like, "This is an awesome song." I want to pull that man card and say, "Men don't cry, too strong," but we're allowed to cry. And there's a few Disney songs that'll do it. It's like when they put down Old Yeller, or at the end of Braveheart, those sort of scenes, like when he's freedom. If you didn't cry, oh yeah. Oh my word, is it ever? Like, oh wow, but it's also a product of the '90s. Like, yeah. Welcome back. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that's not made for just money and style. That's yeah, because I don't know where they were coming with that other movie, Braveheart. Like, it was good, but it wasn't. It was fantasy. Oh, the Outlaw King. Yeah. Yep. No, not at that point. I mean, they just threw a lot of what they thought was looking cool together for a movie. Is that ending though? It makes you tear up a little as he's dying. Like you're like, no. But the rest of it, it's. But I remember back in the day. This is gonna really age me here. All of us, we all know this. Back in the day, when you rented that movie from the store, you got it on 2 VHS. Wouldn't fit on one tape. Yeah, you had to get 2 VHS tapes for it. Yeah, damned '90s and your lack of DVD. Oh. Okay, so, now that Kieran's back, and has summoned a simulacrum, your ship, which is becoming a sled now, hovers just above the ground with that edge spike in the back that keeps it nice and leveled, drifting on the snow to create a small line behind. Gargauth will acknowledge that, yeah, I gotta guide you to where you need to go. And he gives a point, far off in the distance, that his wonderful castle is in that direction, and we can make our way there, certainly. Oh, thank you very much for the link on Outlaw King. Oh, we call it it's an homage, right? Oh, ideal. I'm gonna take a read on that. I gotta give a watch. Because that looks fun. I've heard good things about that one. I haven't watched much TV recently. I've been doing too many other things. Earth. Oh, but I digress. Going, and gone. So, he's going to explain that in order to get to where you need to go next, we're going to need to hop a few of these glaciers. And, in these roiling, toiling cold norths, he'll warn you, as he looks over the cliff, of what they call the ocean unmoving. A rather comedic name. He picks up a stone and throws it, and it seems to skip forever. He's like, of course it moves, and you can sail upon its waves. But, Druid, can you tell me what's strange about those waters? You're getting the heebie-jeebies looking at them. Besides the fact that it's so cold you fall in, you're dead. He gives a pause as he rubs his chin. That's a rather interesting way to look at the things. No, there is no tide, you are correct. But that is not why it is the ocean unmoving. Nope. He walks towards the water, in fact, walking down as he does, as he leans over and gives a bit of a splash to it and pulls up a pool of it in his hand. Ever so cold, ever so horrifying. The water unmoving is because inside there is nothing alive. Just the cold, empty embrace of Kenya's cold waters. Fall in at your own peril, because you won't come out alive. And Dean, looking over the water, your character Alec, being loving of nature and all that, could tell that this is indeed a dead ocean. Nothing is alive. At least not close to the surface, anyway. Your eyes can't help but see the dark, murky depths below, and wonder if there isn't something big down there anyway. Oh. The horror campaign. The poor little imp shaking in his boots like, why did you say the DM could be horror? Why? Now I'm claustrophobic. Gargauth, probably the only person taller than Flux in quite a while, because it says he's 8 foot, gives a moment to give her a pat on the shoulder and say, yeah, we don't go below the water. Even I would not enjoy such a thing. And you see he gives a somewhat disgusted shake of his head like, ugh, no. Jade, meanwhile, is looking at the ship, looking at the water, and nodding. He's like, yes, it will float, I am certain. And he puts a hand on Isaac's shoulder and gives a push. As Bellamy brings that one up. He actually puts a hand on Isaac's shoulder since Isaac spoke as well and says, yep, you may ride it out first, though. You have the honor to launch. Yes. The rest of you might be realizing Jade's character's like, I'm not 100% if it'll float. Isaac, you go take the ship out. And fortunately for Bellamy, the ship rides high enough that your Devil's Ride is able to latch back on underneath and be just above the water. Just above, sorry. And Gargauth will confirm that you're going to have to traverse a couple of these. He'll admit, I would love to tell you an exact number, let you know how many, but just watch for a few moments as a storm clears and twists and turns. And you can see in the distance, true to his word, as some of the snow moves and you can see further. One of those gigantic icicle glaciers, as large as Euron, if not incredibly larger, drifts by in the distance. And he nods and says, do you realize how incredibly fast that's moving? They often strike together, as you've seen behind us, to cause troubles. We would be wise to watch for these while on the water. And it is also why I cannot give you a guarantee. Because, and he holds his hand out, and suddenly the area lights up. What would appear to be almost like a prestidigitation or mage image or any ghost image or any number of magical effects. You see what appears to be a large wheel in the air above you all. On it, with a glance, dozens, hundreds, thousands of tiny crag-like pieces of ice spinning around, some at fast speeds, some at slow speeds, but in the middle, one large, flat area unmoving. He holds his finger up and points there and says, this would be the middle of Cania. This is where we will find the archdevil, Mephistopheles, Lord of the Eighth. The moving glaciers and icebergs drift as fast as a running person. They constantly collide with one another here and with surrounding mountains of enormous sizes. You can see snow avalanches, common and violent, while the weather, dominated by snowstorms, howled with incessant wind. He extends... Yep. He gives a pause. You wouldn't have much effort, I would imagine. Personally, I'm not a fan of certain aspects of magical schools. But you shouldn't have too much trouble with your spells and magics. Many of them will work quite well here. This realm, abundant with magical energy, a fountain of pure power. It is why he does his experiments here, you see. Oh, and just on a note for your vessel. While it's on the land and being tugged along with Bellamy, you only need land vehicle proficiency to operate one or either. The ship itself has no propulsion at the moment, so that's not an option. While on water, on the other hand, you would need, well, the water vehicle proficiencies, or if you have the split that you've already gained. Keep this in mind, as I don't know how much this would change for people's ability to control the vessel, but while you're on the water, it acts as a boat, and while you're on the land, it acts as a land vessel. Oop. I think it was 5:30 was the end of the long rest, so that would have been the start. It'd be about half hour out. And no worries. So Nimbar is going to have a clone as well. Yep. I am going to drop your copy down, though, just so you have one as an updated token. It's its own thing. You'll notice it under the player's attributes. Feel free to edit it to the stats of a simulacrum, but it's going to take a while. And the Ring of Wishes, you're putting that on your imp? Or your owl, rather? Alright. Alright. So he gets the ring. He can do that within the hour. That won't be a trouble, but we'll worry about that on the ship. That might be something for next week's game plans. Because next week, well, you're about to set sail on adventure in one of the absolute roughest seas that you ever could dream upon. And with Gargauth at the helm. Oh, sorry, what was that? I'm having me some fun. I mean, it's pretty obvious I'm having a bit of enjoyment with the evil side of the dark and the dread. Makes things more fun. But I think I'll call it there for the week, because it's just about 2 o'clock. Next week, you'll be starting on a voyage on water as you make your way to the next glacier as they move through. So before we cut for the day, any questions? Oh, a divine being in mortal form? He's a Rhea +1. Yep. He is the worst. He's that rich, pretty boy. The one who's like, oh, I know I can. And that's what makes it even worse. He's meant to be moral decay personified. So, of course, he's got 31 charisma. I mean, I don't know if gods actually can break 30, but yeah. Yeah, Gargauth is supposed to be incredibly handsome. However, you also know this is not his true face. He has another one, which partially formed. And I actually have a third one, which you haven't seen at all. So that'll be fun. But yeah, he is not a nice person. I'm very happy to have gotten him out of his shield, finally. As for the shield, it loses all abilities and functions as a +2 shield, with the ability to communicate with him and vice versa, no matter who, what, where, when, why. Yes, it still does require attunement because of that special ability. I will say, within half a century as well, the shield will switch from looking like a horrified, monstrous thing to looking celestial again. It's been purged of everything that made it evil. On the flip of that is, though, we now have an utterly depraved devil set loose on the world, who has a vow of non-aggression with a lot of you, at least until he's dropped you off at Mephisto's gates. Kind of out of options. Let's set the pit fiend free. I'm gonna steal the sword's power, though, and I'm come stronger. Oh, jeez. Oh, and I'm gonna pause the game. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. But that makes him even happier because he'll just stew in it, you know? So then... Oh. Yes. It has the physical area that you could install a sail, and on the very middle of it, you can just see the edge of purple here. That's a fin. As are the two on the side. They'll catch wind and they'll be able to move the ship on its own. With a little bit of work, you could add more. And let me warn you, and this is from a physics point of view, if you're standing on the ship and you blow air on the sail yourself with wind coming from your hands, the ship won't move. You can do this experiment yourself. However, if you have wind blow, not coming from you, but if you have wind blow, that'll cause the ship to move. Just, I don't think that matters for much things, but, oh, physics.
Second question. Are we ready?
Zerical. Lulu. As you're wondering, I was like, are we taking along the Zerical? And Lulu just wrapped her trunk around in the arms. Yes, we're taking along the Zerical. I'm not leaving her behind. She's my best friend. Lulu's already dragging the icicle over towards the ship. Oh no, she's coming. She ain't gonna thaw out. Don't worry, it's too cold. Come on, Zerial, I got you back. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna get that ice cracked. We're gonna thaw you out and have some ice cream and some hot chocolate and then chocolate milk too. It's gonna be cool. Yep. So we'll cut it there. Oh wait, Jillian, you said you had a question, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the efficiency. So you said you could drive it. So I have land vehicle efficiencies, and I have efficiency in driving that boat, like the airship, in the air.
Yep.
But I don't have sea vehicle efficiencies.
To
Does that mean
to be specific,
land steered or I can't?
when you were learning onto the second, you were taught basically how to do sea vehicles, which those dual proficiencies allows you to use it in the air, as it requires pieces from both. So you technically have water vehicles in your background now too. So you can pilot it on water or on land. I believe Jade does too, and maybe a couple others.
Okay, and I was pretty sure that was the case, but I just wanted to double check something that you asked when we were talking about it.
Oh yeah,
So I can just generally put water vehicle proficiency on the right?
exactly.
Okay, perfect. I already have, I did a custom proficiency for the airship, but I'll just adjust it so it's just straight. Thank you.
Oh, anytime, anytime. So then, if there's no further questions, I'm gonna call it for today. Because that was good fun. And next week you start well, don't rock the boat. Because it's gonna be cold. Alrighty, everyone, great playing with you. I look forward to next week, and y'all have yourselves a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, but by next week, it's going to be so the changes. I'm gonna focus this there.
Oh, yes. Or even just remind me at the start of next game. It'll go through pretty quick. If I forget to. The initial install takes a while. After that, it's just refreshes. Alrighty, everyone. You have yourselves a good one, and stay safe.